Hi, my chicken babies. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I'm back with another pick a card. Um, Today, I wanted to go into your inner child and what inner child lessons are you learning at the moment? What is prominently happening in regards to your inner child and being called to heal, I guess. So this reading is a timeless reading, as are all of my readings. But I definitely do feel like this is a reading that if it comes up on your homepage, or you just come across it, or you feel called to be here, definitely stay, because it does feel like it is going to be a very powerful reading. I've got two. Oh shoot! Sorry, hold on. Okay, let out my burps. I got two piles here. We got pile number one with the Tasma African Tarot deck with this beautiful crystal shell, but it like radiates crystal energy for sure with all of that shine. No, it's a shell though. It's a beautiful seashell. The next one we have is a piece of coral from Mexico, I believe. And that's with the traditional deck. So go ahead and take a deep breath and choose whatever pile resonates with you. Timestamps will be down below. Hi, pile number one. How are you? This is for everyone that chose this beautiful shell that I called a crystal at the beginning. And this is the Tasma Tarot deck. And let's see what inner child lessons you're going through right now. Let's see. We got the Lovers. We got the Ace of Wands in reverse. Okay. Off to a start. Seven of Pentacles, the Tower, the King of Pentacles. Okay. A lot of inner child lessons, almost, it feels like, on your kind of your perception of yourself, but where you are in life and not feeling adequate enough. That's the best way to put it, adequacy. We got the Three of Pentacles with the Lovers in reverse. We got the Page of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands in reverse. Four of Cups in reverse with the Seven of Pentacles. We got the Knight of Wands. The deck's not even backwards. They just all want to be. Okay. We're going to keep the Star. Bottom deck energy is the Strength. You're going through a life lesson right now, or an inner child lesson right now, sorry. Overall, in regards to confidence, in regards to your internal strength, in regards to your courage, it almost feels like to be yourself. Now, overall, I think there's a lot of inner child lessons right now in regards to your inadequacy, or how inadequate you feel where you are in life right now. There's a sense here of, with the Lovers in reverse, the Three of Pentacles upright, self-love. You're definitely trying to learn self-love, or there's like a strong inner child lesson right now of like nurturing your inner child and loving your inner child. In some way, like almost going back and comforting your inner child and showing your inner child that the love you have for your inner child has always been there, that you've always been there all along for your inner child, even when your inner child didn't realize as a child the higher self. There is a sense of almost taking yourself back to childhood memories and wounds, and imagining your higher self, yourself now, looking at that child, telling that child everything will be okay, you'll be okay, you've got this. Because there's this sense, right, with the Three of Pentacles upright, there is also this kind of sense that right now you're working on a lot of like inner child lessons from the ages of like 7 to 11. It feels like you're working on, because okay, there's this feeling, number one, of like not having a lot of friends when you were younger, or having trouble like making friends when you were younger. And it feels kind of like with the Three of Pentacles and the Lovers in reverse that you're going through some adult experiences right now that are triggering those friendship kind of areas, those areas in which you've remembered as a kid what it felt like to not feel like people wanted to be around you, to not feel like you were fitting in with your friends, that you were working together with your friends, that all of you guys were kind of on the same page in regards to how you feel about one another. It kind of gives me the impression that you're feeling like you're inadequate in life, but also like you're not worthy enough to love, and people aren't putting as much effort in you as you are them. And you know, that could be true, that could not be true, but there's definitely this feeling that you feel that way. And with the Ace of Wands in reverse, the Page of Wands, or sorry, Page of Pentacles in reverse, you know, there's this sense of like, I don't have a lot of options right now. I feel like I don't have a lot of options. I feel like everyone around me is getting married or having kids, doing this, doing that, going off to college, whatever it is. It feels like you feel like your peers are more ahead than you are, and there's a sense of like, I'm not good enough because of where you are right now, which is absolutely untrue. But, you know, there's a lot of feelings right now of that. And that's really stemming from that inner child wound of the inadequacy, of feeling that they weren't good enough, of feeling like they weren't worthy enough, you know. And that could stem from, you know, not having enough emotional support, or having been on your own a lot as a child, having to do a lot on your own as a child. With the Four of Cups in reverse and the Seven of Pentacles, there's definitely a sense here that right now with the Seven of Pentacles, there's a lot of focus on the projects you've been investing in that aren't, you know, bearing any fruits of your labor. You know, with the Four of Cups in reverse, there is kind of a stubbornness here, but I do feel like because the Four of Cups is in reverse, I do feel like there is a sense here of, I don't want to say, okay. I'm trying to figure out how best to say this, because, okay, so when I sit in the energy, right, it's almost like they take me to childhood, and it's almost like they take me to you doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. And it's not that you don't want to change what you're doing, but it's almost like you used something as a distraction, and then that manifested in the future. And so what I mean by that like habit, what I mean by that is like, let's say you grew up in a household that had a lot of tension or a lot of fighting, things like this. You kind of maybe felt like you were walking on eggshells, whatever. There's a sense that when the tension got really bad, you would go do something to distract yourself. You would leave, you'd go to a friend's house, you'd go in your room and clean everything, you'd hide under the bed, you would do this or you would do that. And it feels like that's also what you do as an adult. Now, you don't necessarily go and hide under the bed or something, but it does feel like in some sense you repeat the cycle. Like, you know, if there's tension and conflict in your life, it's almost like you'll go and you'll clean your whole house, and you'll cut your hair, and you'll wash all your clothes, and you'll take like multiple showers in a day. And it's not that you think they're necessarily relevant to one another, but it's like if you look back at your childhood, you see these coping mechanisms you did to distract yourself from the constant conflict. And it feels like as an adult, there's this internal conflict now of, I'm not adequate, I'm not good enough. And it's like, kind of in some sense, there is this feeling too with yourself where you will stay doing the same thing to kind of distract yourself from the conflict, or distract yourself from your own internal tension. This could be internal and external. But with that being said, you know, you're going through an inner child lesson overall on inadequacy, on how you can feel better about how inadequate you feel. But with like the King of Pentacles in reverse, the Knight of Wands in reverse, there is also this message here of your perception and having to heal parts of your inner child to help your perception. So I also think that you're going through inner child lessons in regards to your ability, your strength, your confidence, listening to yourself, right? I do feel like in order to kind of heal these inner child wounds, to really work on them, number one, I really want you to start writing a list of the things you've accomplished or the things that you hope to accomplish. And then I want you to really sit down and ask yourself if you've done the steps to kind of make that come true. And that might... Well, I want you to kind of think about that though too, because it could make you feel worse. But there's a sense here that like if you make, like when I look at my head at like the advice they give me a list. And they're almost like, you're not recognizing actually how much you've done, actually how much you have been successful. And so they want you to recognize yourself too for your strength. There is this sense that you've been through a lot. You've had to overcome a lot. With the Tower and the Star, you've had to really transform. You've had to take lemons and make lemonade. You've had to take nothing and make something, you know? And so there is this sense of giving yourself a little bit more credit to feel deserving of things. With the Knight of Wands in reverse and the King of Pentacles in reverse, there is this sense that you feel financially kind of broke, or like you might be financially similar to your parents or similar to your upbringing. Pay attention to your finances and pay attention to how money works for you and how your relationship with money is compared to your upbringing, right? Because it does also feel like in some way your, what was I going to say? It does like it, not your, the Pentacles energy is more like, okay, never mind. Because I was kind of saying like, it kind of feels like at work or your career, your job, it doesn't feel necessarily that you don't feel good enough, but it does in some way feel like you're undervalued. And so with the Knight of Wands in reverse, I don't know, it's giving me this impression that it's not that there's a lot of delays in the things around you, but it's almost feeling like when there are delays in the things around you, you automatically jump to, well, I was the one at fault. I'm the one that screwed this up. This is all my fault. So you're going through a huge lesson in self-adequacy, how you can be self-sufficient. Self-sufficient, that's not the right word. How you can feel adequate on your own, how you can give yourself enough validation that you feel that you're good enough at this point in life. And to be honest with you, I think some of it's really going to be you actually recognizing and seeing your own strength. It's almost like if you start to view yourself through the lens in which you have transformed in a lot of ways. You've had to take a lot of nothing and turn it into something. You've drastically been through a lot. You've had to deal with a lot. You've had to deal with your trauma. You had to deal with maybe your upbringing. There's just a sense that you don't see yourself as strong as you are. And that part of yourself is the part of yourself that can help you get the validation you need from yourself to feel less inadequate. So yeah, definitely, I would definitely recommend start doing some like meditations first and foremost. Oh, what's that? Okay, sorry. There was a glare in the mirror and it like confused me and I was like, what is that? And I was like, is that someone? I thought it was for a second someone outside, so I kind of got a little bit panicked. Anyway, it was not. I was just confused. Anyway, what I was going to say is with, I think it was the Lovers in reverse and the Ace of Wands in reverse. Have a little bit more kindness for yourself at the moment. Have a little bit more, I don't want to say, like, in some way I want to say passion, but I want to say like love, but love in like a very excitable way. You know, look at yourself in a more excitable way. And I know that that's hard and stuff, but try to do some things to kind of shake your energy a little bit. You know, going for a walk, and on your walk, thinking of all the ways in which you have successfully done things, thinking of all the ways that you've gotten through things, thinking about how if there's a will, there's a way, and how you tend to find that way, you know, thinking of the things that build you up. The negative thoughts aren't just going to go away. Things like, you know, the feeling of inadequacy isn't just going to go away. But what will help is this feeling of courage to make the feeling of inadequacy less. And, you know, recognizing your courage, recognizing your strength, recognizing all the things you've been through have made you such a strong person. And I think that right there is the start of healing that inner child wound. Let's get some oracle cards. Okay, I'm going to use this deck. This is a deck that my friend is an artist. She's the designer on it. This is a deck she's working on. It's like still in its rough draft period, but I do like a lot of the messages on the cards. So I like to still use it, but it still needs to be edited and stuff. So don't judge it too much, okay? The photos, though, I think are beautiful and amazing. I'm talking more the text. We got patience, we got grounded, we got stagnant. This is the picture for stagnant. And then it says stagnant. The state of inactivity or being stuck can feel unrelenting. Decision paralysis is common and often affects our spiritual growth. Spending too long in this energy can lead to a feeling of indifference, but is usually followed up with great bouts of energy and renewed interest in life. So with the stagnant card, there is a sense here of recognizing where some of these inner child lessons and inner child wounds have created stagnancy in your life. I do feel like with this patience and this grounded card, there is a sense here of, number one, with the stagnancy, recognizing it's just a phase, it's just a cycle. You know, there are going to be more opportunities coming your way, but you do have to put yourself out there too. I do want to say that. With the patience here, it says patience. That's the card, the picture of it. Patience is something many of us don't have enough of with ourselves or with others. Seeing the actions of others as an indicator where that person is on their journey and not an indicator of your worth or their feelings towards you, or being able to sit in a sense of knowing that you're where you're supposed to be, is a hard place to exist, but essential to peace. So basically, obviously, this is very synchronistic, but this is really talking a lot about having patience in recognizing that everyone has their own journey. Having patience, not necessarily because you need to wait, but having patience because everyone's turn comes. This, you know, there's always good things coming in, and there are oftentimes bad things going out, or, you know, bad things happening and good things happening simultaneously. There's a sense with both the stagnant and the patience of recognizing the cycle in all of this, how this is a cycle, how this cycle will change, and how you can, through patience, and through recognizing the stagnancy, through the reflection and grounding yourself, you can kind of get out of this kind of these inner child lessons, I guess, or this healing a little bit better, I guess, is what I'm, kind of saying. Sorry, I'm stuttering over my words a little bit. Okay, the last one is grounded, and that says, the message of grounding comes at a time when the universe is calling for you to focus on finding balance. Many things can ground us. Perhaps nature is the most common and accessible way to start. Sit on the ground and visualize your alignment with source. Imagine roots grounding you to the earth. That's a very good exercise in order to ground yourself. Okay, pile number 1, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, pile number 2. How are you? This is for everyone that chose the piece of coral and the regular deck. Let's get into your reading. What inner child lessons are you learning right now? Pile number 1 was very interesting. It was a lot of like lessons in regards to your inadequacy, feeling not good enough, feeling like everyone around you is kind of further along, and where that stems from in your inner child. So let's see what's up for you, pile number 2. Sorry, I had to itch my top lip. Okay. Okay. We got the World, we got the Knight of Cups, we got the 4 of Wands in reverse, and I was singing, go into the chapel, baby, gonna get married. I listened to the like EDM version, like the remix, the house version. But yeah. Okay. So with you guys, it's a similar feeling to pile number 1, but rather than feeling inadequate in regards to necessarily like to mainly where they are, it's for you guys, it feels specifically, you feel very inadequate in love. It feels like your inner child lessons right now are in regards to connection and love. We got the Sun, we got the Knight of Pentacles, Page of Wands. Okay. So right off the bat with the World, the 3 of Swords, there's heartbreak that you're going through right now. I don't want to say it's like major, like, it could be very debilitating heartbreak, and it could be really affecting you for sure with the 3 of Swords, but it feels more like it's almost a grief because you have to stand still. It's almost like with the World and the 3 of Swords, it's almost like you were meant to go traveling and now it's delayed, or you were meant to move and now it's delayed. some new cycle was meant to come in and now it's not. There's a sense here too with the World and the Three of Swords that it's like almost feeling like your turn has never come, almost feeling like all you've ever gotten is heartbreak. And I know a lot of us say that, but for a lot of us, not for a lot of us, for some people, they've been in relationships and stuff, and yes, it sucks, but they've had the equality of like love in some sense. It feels like for you, there's a sense of grieving this life you thought you would have in regards to love, feeling as though you won't ever find someone that really loves you, that truly loves you, that wants to, really spend their life with you. There's a sense here that, with the Knight of Cups, the King of Pentacles, there's almost a sense here of like, will I ever be able to even build a family with someone, And it's not even that you believe necessarily in traditional marriage, because, there are, kind of, or not, there is this kind of energy here of like being quite unconventional in a sense, but there's almost this energy of like, I've never been given the option, or like, it just never even happened for me, or hasn't even been close. So there's even more of a sense with the Ten of Cups, the Three of Cups, of like almost celebrating everyone around you and feeling like you're never celebrated. You're never looked at in that way. And I think that that's something that's really weighing you down. And it is an inner child lesson. It really stems from this idea of, it's not even that you're not worthy. It's almost this idea of like, yeah, okay, they're showing me like eggs in a basket. And so for me, that's kind of saying that it was almost an escape plan. If your childhood was bad, if you grew up in a small town, if, you're LGBTQ or something and grew up somewhere conservative, there's a feeling that the future, finding someone and falling in love was something that you really felt like was a huge goal. It feels almost like you banked on that. It feels almost like you were like, but it's okay. One day I'll meet someone and I'll be loved. Just have hope. And now it feels like everyone around you, it's happening. It's not happening for you. And there's a sense here of, why would I even have hope? I'm stupid to have hope. No one's ever going to love me. And so there is this deep-seated inner child wound of like your biggest fear almost coming true. There's almost a sense of like, as a child, it feels like, in order to get yourself through, or in order to feel better, you would tell yourself that in the future those things would happen. You'd fall in love, you'd be yourself. And now it's come to the future and it feels like some of it's not happened. And now there's this heavy, heavy weight. And that weight is from your inner child, because your inner child, you have to get to the root of why your inner child was so longing for this. Like part of it can be misogyny and gender and society, the patriarchy and stuff, but part of it too is your childhood, your upbringing, and the attachment to love that you had for the future. There is this sense that hope was what got you through, and having hope and love has gotten you through a lot. But now there's a lot of losing that hope. And so this inner child is struggling in some sense to know what to do. This inner child is now feeling the depth of their lack of love, the depth of their emotional, not avoidance, but like being ignored emotionally. They're, they're being pushed aside. There's a sense that sometimes you were pushed aside, you weren't looked at, you weren't thought of, and it's not that, it doesn't feel like you were deliberately like, they deliberately picked on you, your parents or something. They could have, but it feels more like things were always kind of busy and you were always kind of obedient and maybe okay with it, but deep down there was this sense of like, it's okay, but you were waiting for your turn. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that this feels like you're dealing with an inner child lesson of like waiting for your turn, not being picked, never being picked first. And now there's a lot of wounds here in regards to, okay, I didn't get the move, I didn't get into school, which actually today I got rejected to four universities. No, sorry, 3 universities, 4 programs. Talk about the universe humbling me. But that's very much what this feels like right here, right? There's been a lot of rejection, which is redirection, but I also hate that saying. It can piss me off. But there is a sense that there is like grief with it. And with all of that being said, there's a lot of wounds right now of like, I've given a lot. I've put a lot of work into things. Why aren't things grounding? I've tried to date more. I've tried to work on myself. You know, with the 10 of Cups in reverse, the 3 of Cups, I've tried to be happy for people. I've tried to celebrate people, but everyone else is getting everything. I am not even getting possibilities. Here's the thing though, with the Sun in reverse, the Page of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, you know, there is a sense here that part of your inner child lesson is recognizing that love is more than the attachment. And I think you know that on the, you know, the surface level, the intellectual level, but it's getting down to the emotional level and truly believing it on an emotional level, that love is an attachment, but love is very freeing. Love is very, electric and exciting. And it's not that you necessarily don't think of it as exciting and electric, but it's almost a sense of like being so attached to this idea of love that you're forgetting that love is natural, that love flows. And, you know, I'm not, I guess, saying this so that you know, feel like you have to flow more, because it's hard to flow with love, but it's more like they're kind of saying to you, like, the inner child wound is your attachment to this idea that love will fix it all. Because what happens if the love doesn't? What happens if you meet someone, you really love them, they don't love you back? Does that mean you just stop loving them? And, you know, obviously, you know, every situation is different and stuff. You shouldn't, you know, let someone lead you on or something. But there's a sense here of feeling so inadequate in regards to love. No one wants you. You're never going to have the marriage. You're never going to meet the person. You're always just going to be the fling, the fun girl, or boy, whatever. Or non-binary, whatever. But I would say definitely here, you know, the inner child wound you're going through, the inner child lesson you're going through is finding that love in yourself. And I know that's so cliche, and I have not found that love, so I don't really know how to tell you to do that, or, you know, whatever. I'm learning with you guys, but there is a sense here of just trying to like almost fall in love with yourself in order to help heal that inner child wound. It's like, you know, giving yourself the childhood you really felt that you deserved. So taking yourself out on you know, little dates, or for dinner, out for dinner, coloring in coloring books because you never got to, painting, or doing this or doing that. There's a sense here of falling in love with life because you're living a life you love. And when you start to do that, there's a sense that all of these people start to come in that really love you and value you. But no matter what, like who comes in or when they come in, I was going to say what comes in, and then I was like, no. You will feel inadequate because the lack of love within yourself. And so there's that like inner child wound being, you know, kind of presented, is with that Page of Wands, that Knight of Pentacles, like slow and steady wins the race, but we got to explore, we got to put ourselves out there. So there's a sense here of also being realistic with yourself. Are you actually putting yourself out there? And I don't mean like social, like, you know, apps like Tinder and stuff. Like, we can all do that, but are you actually messaging people back? Are you matching with people? Are you trying to find people in real life? And it doesn't mean you have to, you know, delete all your apps and say, fuck it, I'm going to go to the supermarket and ask people out or something. No, but I more just mean like, you know, are you putting in the effort sometimes to dating in regards to like putting yourself out there, not just fixing yourself up or making yourself presentable or doing the emotional work or making the money in buying the material things to look nice and good and having some flirtiness. But I mean like down to the core, what is it that you want? Are you exploring yourself? Are you putting yourself out there and, you know, like I said earlier, like putting yourself out there, making people, you know, just chatting with people and giving them your number and making them feel your energy and things like that. There's a sense here that, and it's not that you haven't gotten in a relationship because of that, but it's more also the timing. There's been a lot of focus on other things in your life, and there is this heavy hyper focus on how you need love to almost feel like a first choice again. But the thing is that that wound is still there even if someone chooses you. And so there's this need for you to work on that inner child wound of not being chosen. That's the biggest wound here that you're working on, is why you weren't chosen or why you feel you weren't chosen, and how to help yourself feel more chosen. And honestly, I think it starts with you choosing yourself. That can be as small as, you know what, every day this week, I'm going to write myself a little post-it note and put it in my lunch. And make your lunch, you know, or like, you know, something like that. Make your lunch the weekend before, and then you'll literally forget about the notes, and you'll come and you'll be like, oh my God, that's so sweet. But yeah, do some things like that. I'm going to start pulling some oracle cards now. Do some things like that, where you're, you know, like kind of falling for yourself in some way. You're nurturing yourself in some way. You're showing yourself how valuable you are. Because you are. Okay, let's get some oracle cards. My throat is hurting. Clarity. Oh, also, I did do this disclaimer for pile number 1, but this is like a rough draft of a deck my friend illustrated, and I put some of the text, but it's still in the process of being made and all of that, so it is grammatically wrong. It is only like, I think, well, it's probably like card number 3, like deck number 3, but we're still very much in the process of creating the deck. So, you know, please be mindful of the spelling mistakes and stuff, and don't hold us to it too much. Okay, communication, which is one of my favorite illustrated cards here. Communication. Oh, it says, most things can be traced back to communication. Communication with friends, family, but even the universe and ourselves. Don't be afraid to speak your needs and wants into the universe, and without, and free of appraisal or judgment. Into the universe without appraisal or judgment. So communicate. Talk to your inner child. Ask your inner child how they are. Not even that, but, you know, check in sometimes with your inner child. I know that seems weird, but sometimes when we talk to our child's self, there's this healing element there. Okay, entangled. And it says, you can see the problem, risks, and potential threats, but you are so wrapped up in all of it that is happening, you can't find a way out. Proceed with caution. However, being entangled can cause a loss of clarity over oneself. We are meant to be a whole, fulfilled being. Practice a grounding meditation to tap into your core if this card appears for you. We're entangled in the mess, and that's okay. We're getting clarity. Notice how it's like we're entangled in it all. We're feeling like everything's a mess, nothing will happen. But if you start to communicate with yourself better, there's, yeah, definitely a sense here of things changing and things being better for you. Yeah, and it just more healing is what it feels like. Then we have clarity, and this here says, with clarity comes the ability to see things as they really are, not the illusion that we would like them to be. Clarity can always be found within ourselves, much like peace. When you pull this card, you are searching for clarity in some area of your life. Sit with your spirit guides and send a prayer asking for clarity. Assign a sign to which when the answer is there, to know when the answer is there. Clarity is close, be patient. So it's coming, it's coming. But also, you know, be very clear with that communication. Talk to the universe, talk to your inner child, talk to your guides, and all of that. Okay, pile number 2. Ooh, 33. I'm going to end your reading there. I think that's the perfect place to end the reading. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.